Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, 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 and welcome, boys and girls, to the 189th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net and those sexy, sexy legends at Audio Technica, but more on those guys and girls later. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere, Brendan 8bit. And joining me today, my partner in crime, my podcast Ride or Die. You can find her at Miss Ellie Hart. We're talking about Miss Ellie Hart. How you doing today?
I am doing well. How are you?
It's a brave new world I'm living in right now, I must tell you. Big changes have occurred this past week. Obviously, COVID and everything is still running rampant.
Things have been pretty hairy, haven't they?
Yeah, they used to be. They are a lot less hairy these days because I stupidly decided to shave my beard off for a work charity-based event. So I am clean-skinned for the first time in well over 10 years, and it feels weird. I look at myself and I don't like it, and I just want to hide under the blankets until my beard grows back. But it is what it is, and here we are. Yeah,
I'm curious. Do you lose like some kind of strength or superpower now that it's removed? Or
I do, yeah. I'm -3 manliness, so I've gone down in that regard. So I can no longer open jars. I can no longer sort of work directions when I'm driving a car as well. And I'm about to do a smoke tomorrow, a big brisket, and I'm scared that that's going to fail because, -3 on the manliness. I could be just resorting to a bit of toast or something instead because all my talents have gone out the window. We'll see how this podcast goes because I've never done a naked face podcast, but here we are.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't think I have ever seen you without a beard. It was quite the shock.
You've had the best reaction so far. It sounded like you walked in on a dead body. Like you've got to just come home and open the front door, and in the lounge room is my beardless corpse, and you just went, ah!
I was quite the shock, unfortunately. It is because like you with a beard has all I've ever known, as far as I'm concerned. Like as soon as you came out of the womb, you had a beard. So
yeah, sadly that's pretty true. I was a very hairy baby. I was very monkey-like in my demeanor and stature when I was a babe. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, had a full head of hair, not much of a beard, but it didn't take long. Had the hair mustache. You know when the kids are starting to get the hair mustache when it's time to shave? I had one of them in, I don't know, year 6 or year 7. It had to go because it was not looking very nice. So, yeah. But anyway, the joys of isolation is I can sort of hide and be selective as to who sees me in my current weakened state. But, yeah. That's me. Any exciting news that you've got to share this week? Anything you've been up to that's a bit crazy or left of centre?
I've done the opposite. I've decided to take on intermittent fasting because when you're home a lot, you snack a lot. So you got to kind of put some rules down, and I just feel like I'm starving all the time. It sucks. It really sucks.
And because you're such an early riser, like fasting is great for the ones that sleep in, but because you're awake at the Sparrow, you'd be starving by the time 10, 11 o'clock rolls around or whatever time your activation is. So
yeah, so it's 11 to 7. Yeah, so like no more like late night snacking, and pretty much like coffee's allowed. So it's just like straight coffee that's getting me by till 11, and then it's like just trying to stuff myself, but not too much because I'm also at a calorie deficit. I essentially hate my life. That's what I'm rounding it down to.
I feel you. We're living some horror stories just at different ends of the spectrum at the moment, it feels like. So we'll survive. We'll get through. So I guess full disclosure as well, I'm running a new setup at the moment with the recording. I've just picked up one of the Rode Procaster, or Rodecaster Pros, I should say, sort of mixing console, and so I've got the mic running through a different configuration that I'm used to. So if the audio is slightly different on this recording, apologies, because I've only had this thing for less than 24 hours and I'm just sort of wrapping my head around how it all goes together still. So audio should still be good, and it should be a nice, juicy, well-polished episode. Content is debatable, obviously, but yeah, we'll make sure this thing sounds as good as it can. But if there is some audio jumps, just bear with us, because next week should be all sorted out. Just trying to eliminate some of the gremlins there. But yeah. I guess we could talk about what we've been playing. I know we've been smashing some of the New Horizons still, to no one's surprise.
Yeah.
Any exciting new stories or tidbits you want to share as far as your Animal Crossing adventure? How's your town? Came visited. Gorgeous place, I must say.
Did. Yeah, and then we had
very pretty
debacle of finding out that like transplanting like trees and plants just doesn't go as easily as we hoped it would, unfortunately.
Yeah, what a joke. Like, obviously, cherry blossom trees are all the rage right now in Animal Crossing New Horizons, but it seems that it is limited to a Northern Hemisphere experience because, even if you dig them up and ship them back to the south with you in your pockets, you plant them and they just become a hardwood tree. So we're not allowed to have nice things here in the Southern Hemisphere, it seems.
Oh, you'll probably get it in your springtime.
Yeah,
hopefully.
But then it's limited. I want them year-round. But I guess that it is seasonal. I understand. In winter, did the ponds freeze over? Do they go to that level?
No, I don't think they could freeze over the ponds because you still have to go fishing. But I thought there would be some kind of snow element. So I guess closer to Christmas, maybe we'll see snow.
Yeah. Or winter for us. Maybe we get it in June, July, August. We might get a little bit of snow on the hardwood trees and the fruit trees.
It's pretty good though. I like how truthful it is. Like, it's pretty interesting that it can be nighttime over here and then I'll quickly go visit you and it's like middle of the day, the sun's out and it's summer and there's all these different fish and bugs on your island and stuff. So it's good. I like the contrast.
Yeah, like for a game that is sort of molded out of this cute, quirky, almost childlike enjoyment and play style, there is a lot of depth and a lot of reality embedded in this game. Like, the day-night cycles following the true clock, the seasons, the fact that your landlord's the devil and you're constantly in debt. Like, there is some real-world truths there. Like, I can't help but not bash the Nook. Like, I finally paid for my third room, or got the loan for my third room, so now he's up me for 500,000+ bells, so... Yeah,
I think the next one's like 700,000. So get ready for that. Oh my god!
Sorry. My goodness.
Sorry.
I'm dealing with remorse, buyer's remorse, or movers remorse, I guess you should say. Yeah. So I've been trying to shuffle around some of the buildings to sort of just change the town layout, and I've moved them, and because you've got to almost do two steps, if you have to move one building to then be able to move the second one to where you want that one to be. And so I did a bit of a shimmy shuffle last night, and then I went, "What have I done? I should just kept it how it was." So I'm out $100,000 moving these two buildings, and now I don't know where to put the tailor's shop because it's sort of, I've just put it off the main island at the moment just to move it out of the way. Yeah. But now I'm like, I want it back in the like little hub that I've made, this sort of mecca. But now I don't know where the hell to put it.
See, I guess I had that advantage that I knew what shops to expect. Like, I knew exactly that we were going to get a certain amount of shops. So every time I built something, as I like explained to you the other night, like I haven't unlocked pathways yet. So in order to get the concept across, I used flowers as like lining out pathways. So then I had everything set for when the shops were coming. The only thing I'm not prepared for now is I'm running out of space for houses. And I've got to get all these new people in. I've got no room on the main island. Yeah,
I've moved a few of them off to like the little right-hand side of the island, so the main hub's pretty much full, and then I've got a few just over a little bridgeway. So I think I'm at maximum capacity, apparently, for villages at the moment. So I think I've got...
Is it 8 or 10?
8? I think it's 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I think I'm capped out at 8. You could fit a ton more on an island easily, so hopefully they increase that number, even if it is just to 10. But yeah, I've got a lot of little creatures running around. Most of my creatures seem to be all like fitness and ninjas. They're all about lifting and broing down and Naruto running. That's all my crew are. Oh, and then I've got a little like scientist cat, like little super nerd scientist cat with like a little data rack in his house and stuff. But the rest of them are all just little juice heads.
Yeah. Oh, The weird thing is that like I actually go and look at their profiles and everything, and for the majority, I only technically have one jock, like one that's referred to as a jock, but for some reason, all of them are just very, very fitness focused. Like they all are doing like yoga or lifting weights or doing aerobics in the main plaza, and I find it very cute. Especially like I have one that's labeled as lazy, but he now is like, it's kind of cute. They like do yoga together, like he does it with the jock.
So nice. See, it's infectious. Maybe they sort of, because you see him obviously communicating and having conversation with each other, so maybe they sort of instill their beliefs.
Well, maybe, because like in a lot of the Wikipedia articles they say like, oh, they don't interact well with this kind and they don't interact with that kind, but the only qualm I've had is the nicest, most sweetest animal on my island apparently told the jock there's something negative about his quads and he didn't like that. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, that's the biggest issue. So, but for the most part, all of them are getting along. I like even Hazel, the squirrel that I hated. I'm okay with her now. She's cool. But
you're pro Hazel, okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize when you first initiate the camping, like the first campsite, you have to say yes to the first person that moves in there. Like, there's no way around it. So now I've got some douchebag called Zell.
I've got I've been trying to get him to stay. He's like this little theatre performer, Hollywood star wannabe that keeps coming over to the island all the time, and I've been trying to tell him to stay, but he won't. And then he was giving me like trivia. He's like a little mammal. I'm trying to think exactly. He was like a sort of almost like a little fancy cat or fancy dog looking fella, and he was like big sort of breasted coat and everything. He's pretty suave. And he's talking about, you know, making it in Hollywood. I can't remember his name, but he wouldn't stay because, you know, obviously when you've got the people visiting the campsite, you go talk to them and convince them to hang around. He wouldn't want to buy of it. He was going to Hollywood and becoming famous. So couldn't get him to stay. Failed at his trivia all the time. He was asking like this celebrity based trivia, and I just couldn't seem to get it on the first go. So maybe you had to answer that and then he'd stay. But yeah, he's off chasing his dreams in the big city. So but I'm enjoying it. I moved my house again, so I've relocated my house a little bit up the way up a hill. So I'm just burning money unnecessarily on moving buildings around at the moment. So that's my life. Yeah. But it's still just a great little distraction. I'm really enjoying my time with it. Really enjoying the soul and just the feel of the game and the quirkiness and the cuteness, and just there's no drama in this game, whether you're going to a friend's island or they're coming to you or you're just playing with yourself. Like, it's just fun and it's just easy. I feel so I'm loving it. And obviously you're still giving it glowing reviews and 5 stars and everything because it's your comfort food.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's been a few like instances now where I kind of get a bit shitty about directional digging and that kind of placement of not understanding where the hell I'm facing. That still pisses me off. But the only other thing is also now that a lot of people are playing, having your gates open and then people interrupting interactions. And if someone, found out if someone disconnects from your server and someone else is there, it reverts to everyone, like back to fresh. So
and that was me. That was me that did the disconnect. Full disclosure.
I feel bad though because you went and did everything. You like grabbed some bugs, you went and did some shopping, you got everything done, and then everything you had was gone. Yeah,
I was on that grind. Got some unique fish, unique bugs. Bought some plants that I could take home to sort of scatter around my island. That's one thing actually that annoys me slightly is picking flowers off a plant. You don't get an option to replant it, so I can't just grab some flowers or leaves or whatever you'd say off plants and then sort of put them in again. Like, you sort of maximum capacity unless you're buying seeds, which kind of irks me a bit, especially in the south. Again, we don't get much variety. We've got like lilies, roses, and then these plants called like white mums and red mums and stuff like that. That's all we've got. Whereas the flowers you guys have got up the north are fantastic. Yeah, they're pretty. So we're very much the poor cousins down here in the south.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm currently trying to multiply my plants so then you can have one of each and start your own.
Hell yeah. So is it just you're putting your plants sort of side by side and then naturally they over time, just
No,
spread?
you got to water them every day.
Ah, okay.
And
Okay,
you saw
see.
my island. That's a lot of fucking plants.
Yeah, you need a bigger watering can.
I do. Luckily, the villagers help out and they'll water a plant or two as well. So
Well, that's nice. That's nice.
yeah, they got to pay.
Yeah, so speaking of paying, Nemesis has been trying to make me pay all this week in Resident Evil 3,
yeah.
the remake. So yeah, shout out to Turn Left Distribution for hooking us up with a copy of that, because I've been absolutely smashing this game since last weekend. My second playthrough at the moment. Loving life. Like the completion time for sort of a first run would be anywhere from, say, 6 to 8 hours, potentially, depending on, I guess, how good you are, or how much of an explorer you are, looking for the various little Easter eggs and these little Charlie dolls that you shoot to unlock more content within the game. But yeah, Resident Evil 3, almost exactly what I was saying last year with Resident Evil 2, the remake. It is very special. Loving everything about it. Obviously, the graphical enhancements from the 1999 version is the first thing that stands out. Like, they're using that RE engine, which was on Resident Evil 2 and the latest Devil May Cry. It is a stunning game. Stunning game. The creatures, terrifying. The main protagonists and the various other human characters in the game look really, really good. Jill, the remodeling and reimagining of Jill has been fantastic. She's a great looking woman, but they haven't, like, sexualized her in any way. She's just, there. She's relatable. The voice acting is pretty on point. There is some hammy lines in there, but there is also some sort of more self-aware lines in the game as well. Like, there's one part where you're going into, like, this secret laboratory that feeds off the main hospital, and then Jill's like, how did nobody else know this was here? Like, just this real blatant stuff, like, because it's not very well hidden or very secretive. So I like that they were sort of aware of some of the hamminess and the cheesiness of the game and the tone. The Nemesis himself, or itself, is terrifying. My goodness, getting chased around by this guy with his flamethrower or his rocket launcher or his extendo monster demon arm thing is insane. It sort of changes about maybe halfway through the game, where it becomes less about the chase and more about then sort of staged battles or experiences or run-ins with him. But in the first half of the game, like, he chases you across Raccoon City, like, you're running in and out of buildings and down laneways and whatnot, and he is just on the toe. And because he's quicker, like, bigger than you, he jumps and he smashes you around. So avoiding him with the zombies, which also seem to be a little bit more smarter than in previous, like, they're a little bit more aware, a little bit more aggressive, slightly quicker. It's insane. It keeps you on the edge of the seat right from the jump, and oh my god, my heart was racing for the better part of the first 3 hours non-stop. Like, you get to the save rooms and you sort of got a second to breathe, then you come out again and it's just hell on earth. But I'm really, really digging it. Like, you're not a huge Resident Evil gal, are you? You haven't played much of the franchise.
No.
You've watched a little bit here and there. What's your stance on it so far?
So my first Resident Evil was actually Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube.
Nice, nice.
It's
Great
probably
game.
a good one to actually get into. So I'm pretty lucky with that. Unfortunately, the next one I played was 5. So then, the love quickly rose and then it died. But in regards to the series being relaunched, I've been familiar with the series, being like, a fan of, like, horror, but I've never actually gone back to play the, older style games, because obviously it'd feel a bit clanky now and probably feel a bit, like, off. So the fact that they've got these, remastered, absolutely, like, redone, I'm thinking maybe it would be a good time to probably jump in, really.
Yeah.
I've seen some gameplay already of people playing this one, and it is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. I cannot get over, like, how polished it is. The only thing is the hair. The hair...
I was hoping you were going to say this, especially Carlos's hair.
It's off.
Yeah, it is something. Like he's part of the UBCS, I think is what it's abbreviated down to, and becomes your right-hand man, Carlos Oliveira. Oliveira? I don't know. I'm completely butchering it. Sorry, Carlos. I'll just call it Carlos. But his hair looks like a mop. It's just sitting draped over the top of his skull. Like, it's luscious and it's big and zhushy, but there is so much of it and it looks so fake.
Yeah, it looks like the guy that was in charge of the hair went to lunch and never came back. So it's the only distracting feature I feel when it comes to the graphic quality of the game. Like, everything else looks absolutely stunning, and next thing you know, like, I guess Carlos comes in, but even sometimes, like, just any character, there's just always like this, like, maybe they go too focused in on the head and you see these like elements of the hair just kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And it just looking the tad bit cartoony as opposed to everything else and how polished that is. But I mean, can't complain. It still looks gorgeous otherwise.
Yeah, not many developers seem to nail hair still to this day. Like, it seems to be a very difficult medium to master as far as game development goes, is getting hair to look the right way, to interact the right way with movement, and then make it not look like it's sort of cut straight from Minecraft and pasted onto someone's head. So, but graphically this game is something else. The environments, the character models, the guns, the way that the guns work as well. Like, they, depending on, you start with your pistol and your knife, and you get various weapons along the way that are more and more powerful and more suited to the harder enemies you encounter. So you've got your shotguns, your grenade launchers, your assault rifles, things like that, and they all handle differently. They all play differently, and then you can get various mods for some of these guns to improve their effectiveness in the combat. Health and ammunition are always in short supply, as it always has been with this franchise, so you are constantly juggling your inventory, not only to ensure you have enough bullets, but to also ensure you've got a couple of spare slots in your inventory to grab the eventful key or the jewel or whatever you need to get you into the next space. So you are constantly juggling your whole inventory, and that adds to it that stress and tension in the game as well, because you're never too sure, do I put these green herbs in the storage box because I know I'm going to need more ammo, or do I go vice versa to sort of see how you're going to make it through this next wave of enemies? And there was one part in a hospital. I'm not going to really say much more about that, but I was down to my final 2 bullets, and I had to get into this room to get a access card to sort of progress the story and get out of this certain area of the hospital. And there were 2 hunters in there, and for anyone that knows the franchise, the hunters are like these big, almost like frog monsters on steroids with giant ass claws. Like, they're really aggressive, really scary, and they've got one attack where it one-shots and you're dead. Like, they do this sort of slash across your throat and you cook straight away. So I had to time my way to get through here with 2 bullets and a flash grenade, because that's all I had, and I managed to make it happen. But it took me about four attempts, because these things, they can leap. They're very smart. They're very quick. And yeah, one wrong move and you're dead instantly. So that took me a few cracks to make it through, but I got there. And my God, the sense of relief from getting through there was bonkers. Like, it was just like this weight was lifted off my shoulders. And then I could breathe. Then I'm like, shit, I've got like no bullets still. What's going to happen after this when I use this access key now? So yeah, but it's really cool. Like, it follows a lot of the same beats as the original Resident Evil 3, but there is some changes. Some of the boss battles are tweaked slightly, enemies are tweaked slightly, obviously the characters, and some of the core gameplay loop has changed a little bit as far as some of the things you need to do. They've taken out some, like, a lot of the puzzles of what they also did with Resident Evil 2. It's less puzzly, which is nice.
Okay.
And the cool thing is, because this is set 24 hours before Resident Evil 2, some of the codes, like the safes and some of the locker padlock codes from Resident Evil 2, they're the same password. So if you can remember them, or if you can Google it, little hack, you can find out what's in there to get inventory expansion or, weapons and various other items. So I like that they've sort of connected the dots that way and had that same consistency.
Yeah.
And just showing you how some of the things come to be that you'd know from Resident Evil 2, like a big hole in a wall in the police department for some reason. You actually see how that happens, or why that was smashed up, or what happened here. So it's kind of cool that it connects all these other threads when it doesn't even really need to. And I like that there's these little nods going on. But it's so good. It is so good. Capcom are just on a roll with these remakes, and I'm hoping we see a Resident Evil 1 remake eventually. I'm assuming we might see 4 after this if we're just following 2, 3, and then 4. Because 4 was, you played it. I bought a GameCube just for Resident Evil 4, and it's a special game. It's a very special game.
Like, my favorite, like, my fondest memory from playing it was just being so familiar with just sitting back when a cutscene started and just, like, watching the cutscene, and then it's like, press A, press A, press A. I'm like, whoa, and you're grabbing the controller, like, what the fuck is happening?
Exactly, yeah. The first Resident Evil to bring in those quick time events, obviously the merchant was also fantastic, peddling his wares, open up his big cloak.
What are you selling?
Exactly. So, I'm hoping we see more of that. No doubt we might see this next year, Resident Evil 4. Like, it just seems like it's very cyclical now, where they're just churning these out. And I'm not going to complain, because it didn't feel like it was just Resident Evil 3 with a fresh coat of paint. They did some new things. What I mentioned last week, how there's like an evade feature with Jill, where you can sort of press RB or R1 in a certain direction. You can sort of shimmy out of the way. And when you're playing as Carlos, you sort of got like this shoulder charge punch knockdown thing. So it's same button, but different utility. So you do get slightly different experiences in various parts of the story. But yeah, someone out there, well, everybody out there, I should say, needs to get on this because it's fantastic. Horror fans, action fans, Resident Evil fans, get on it. It's available now. Obviously, April 3rd was when it dropped. And I can't speak highly of this. Like, it's going to be in the running for Game of the Year for, I think, a lot of people, myself included.
Wow.
And then obviously they've got the Resident Evil Resistance online multiplayer mode. I haven't played that yet, but I want to try and get in on that over the weekend just to sort of see how it goes.
Yeah.
And it's a 4v1 scenario, so you're either playing as 4 survivors, you need to try and make your way out of a certain room, or if you're, I think it's the mastermind is what they call the other person, and their whole aim is to plant traps and various enemies to try and halt your progress and stop you from escaping this area. So it's this very cat and mousey multiplayer mode. It seems to be okay from what I've seen online from the chatter. Positive reviews for the most part. But yeah, I'm keen to give that a go this week as well.
I'm very curious because, based on, Resident Evil 2, now 3, we've seen great success with them kind of, just relaunching and rehashing the old classics into this, new consoles and PC and everything. I would wonder if, games like Silent Hill or, even going back to, Clock Tower or,
Clock Tower is a game I haven't thought about in a while. With his big shears.
Yeah, and, the one that I remember playing on PC and scaring the shit out of me, I think it was called, Alone in the Dark.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, bringing those classics back and just seeing, seeing them in the new, horrible, terrifying light. Wait, why am I suggesting this? This would be horrible for me. But, yeah, either way, when success happens, it usually has a ripple effect.
100%. I think you hit the nail right on the head. I'd say a lot of these devs are out there remaking old classics at the moment, or at least engaging with another development company or house that can sort of bring these into a current generation sort of spin to pull on those heartstrings, get that heart rate going as well with the horror and the tension and the stress and the jump scares. I'm still holding out hope for Dino Crisis. I think it's coming. I think for sure they're going to be remaking the first one. Similar sort of style with these games. Obviously, it's a survival horror game, but instead of zombies, you're getting various dinosaurs, and obviously you've got the bad human element attached to it as well, but it's coming. I'd put good money on it that it's coming in the next couple of years. We'll see a Dino Crisis remake as well, and I'll be a very happy boy, but until then, Resident Evil 3, people need to get out there, get a copy of this. I know another smaller game has also released early this week, which was a week ahead of the rest of the world with Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out. Say,
certain locations got it early.
Yeah, Australia got extremely lucky. Street Date broken well early and now available to the masses here in Australia. And I don't know if any of the other sort of countries have followed suit off the back of this now, but I think most people still have to wait to another week or so's time for when this game comes out. So there's a lot of envy around the world, I think, for us Australians here, because they don't have to wait till April the 10th for the US or April 11th here in Australia to get a copy of FF7 remake because it's available now and everyone's playing it. Everyone seems to be loving it. But yeah, I've gone the different path. I've gone survival horror as opposed to JRPG. So Cloud and Tifa and co, they can wait because I'm going to finish this second run through and just take my time with Resident Evil because it's so good.
Yeah, that
So
makes
good.
sense. I mean, if you held yourself back from playing your favorite franchise, then something else is wrong in the world. So, but you also got to make time for Doom as well. Don't forget poor little Doom.
Yep, that's actually probably going to be next on my hit list. Final Fantasy will get done after that. I want to try and knock down Doom next. Still keep playing Animal Crossing. Still keep playing Apex. Loving Apex. I'm on a real sort of rhythm and roll now with Apex. Like I've sort of
That's good.
tweaking with my controls and I'm still, playing with a controller on the PC, boo me.
Boo.
But I've adjusted some things on my Elite controller where I've put like the longer sticks on. So I've got like different control based off my aim and my movement. So that seems to be working a little bit better in my favor. And I'm, faring a lot more positive as opposed to negative these days. So I'm watching my KD ratio go up and up, which makes me feel good because I was on a slide. So
that's good. It's funny. Like I did enjoy playing Apex, but I'm aching for Warzone. I want to do some more Warzone.
I still haven't played.
Really?
Yeah, I need to. I want to try and find some time to give that a go as well, even if it's just a couple of games just to dip a toe.
Yeah.
So maybe this week.
Big file to download for dipping your toes, but I think it's well worth it. You might get addicted.
Yeah, I got the download done on the Xbox, so can play. Just need to put some time aside to jump in on the Warzone. But yeah, that's what we've been playing. Anything you've been watching? Anything you want to mention? I finished watching Tiger King this past week.
Oh my god,
my lord.
That is like a meme in itself. Everyone is hyping about that. I actually haven't watched it yet, but we're actually teeing it up now since everyone else is talking about it. So
it is insane. Like, who would have thought that this thing would have popped off the way it did? Like, I like now, as an aside, how Netflix have the top 10s of what people are watching. I think that's really cool to see what's getting traction. I don't know if it's based off views or if they're just strategically doing that to get more people funneled into certain TV shows or films. But Tiger King, 7 episodes, reality documentary on this guy who, Joe Exotic is the lead character. Well, the lead focal point of this show, and it's all about sort of big cats around America. So whether it be zoos, whether it be personal collections of people owning lions and tigers and bears, oh my. But yeah, it is insane. It is insane all the shit that goes on in this. There's bloody, murder plots and, fraud and theft and all this crazy bonkers. It's this larger-than-life white trash reality show with tigers and things thrown in around it. Like it is some of the most dumpster fire television, but it is so great. And all the conspiracy theories and sort of threads that they're trying to connect at once is phenomenal. So you got to give it a look.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to sit down with that one. Because apart from now what you kind of given me, I still have no idea what the damn show is about. So, I am like, is it really just a show about some guy owning tigers? So, yeah, the curiosity has peaked, so I'm going to go and watch that this week, I believe.
Yeah, so. Picture a guy like Joe Dirt that owns a big cat zoo. And he's the star of the show. He's involved in everything. He's making like music film clips and releasing albums, and he's running for governor. And like, he's so just delirious to everything outside of his own central orbit. Like, he's the smartest man in the room. He's the coolest man in the room. He's got to be everything, but he's just this white trash dude from America that looks like Joe Dirt that, I think there's some good in him, at least to start with, but you just watch this documentary crew that films him and all the people in his orbit over the span of a few years, and it just spirals. Like, it is such hot mess. Good television. Yeah, only 7 episodes, so it's something you can watch over the span of a weekend, and you just sit there and go, man, can this get any crazier? Oh yeah, it can get crazier. Really going to do that? Really saying that? Like, it's something.
Oh, man.
So yeah, give it a look.
Gotta load that in because like I've only been like rewatching Community.
Oh yeah, it's all on Netflix now.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now, so it just makes it all easier. I kind of forgot how kind of lost season 1 was, and then how season 2 it just like this is Community. So been enjoying
two and
that.
3, season 2 and 3 are the peaks of that whole franchise. But yeah, 1 was very much trying to find its feet and its tone.
Yeah.
It felt like at times as well.
Yeah, it definitely was like finding its space. It kind of like it feels weird watching Community and season 1 being like, wait, this isn't the show, but there's a lot of familiar characters. So they're separate in that. But I finally watched Us, that movie by
yes.
John Peel. Yeah.
Yes.
And
What'd you think?
I was kind of disappointed. Everything was pretty obvious. So I kind of feel like for the most part, I was just waiting for it to get to all the pieces that I'd already put into place. So, yeah, it kind of just dragged on for me, unfortunately. The concept was good, but I just felt like it kind of just handed it over pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Get Out is certainly head and shoulders better than Us, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, they're still great, and it's cool to see Jordan Peele having so much success with directing and writing and everything else he's doing now with his Monkey Paw Studios and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious to see what he does next. But yeah, Us, it felt a little bit more paint by numbersy, didn't it? It sort of was very predictable.
Yeah, it was. Like, there was elements that were very creative about it that I did enjoy. And don't get me wrong, I've already jumped on YouTube to, like, see all the other little secret things that maybe I hadn't missed. But for the most part, I hadn't missed much. So I feel like with that, it's maybe a bit too in your face for people that don't know to look for things, I guess. So, I'm not too sure. I'm not saying it's a terrible movie. I still like watching it, but just in regards to what he kind of set up previously, I just felt like it was pretty spoon-fed.
What did you think about the ending and that final sort of final third of the movie? Like, avoiding spoilers, but was the payoff worth it, do you think?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Like, in regards to, like, essentially just already kind of knowing who the person was and how it came to be and how everything happened. About the only thing that kind of paid off was a few theories about the son. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I could see that. It's not necessarily proven true, but I mean, it's a good theory. So, but yeah, I was kind of disappointed, which is unfortunate. So, but I know a lot of people had been recommending that movie to me. So,
yeah, those in like sort of tying into the movie and just in real life as well. Those sort of mirror rooms or like scary mirror buildings or whatever you want to describe them as. I don't like them. They are freaky, like just in general. And there is a fear of being trapped forever in those spaces.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was like a legitimate fear that people have. Like I looked that up and people like hate those spaces because they get like claustrophobic and everything like that. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I've just still been watching more Buffy. It's so great. It's such a dumpster fire of a show. That's sort of like the background television while we're playing Animal Crossing or sort of fiddling around doing stuff. So, yeah. Still got to finish Better Call Saul Season 5. Just finished, Tiger King. And then, see what else is circulating because we're starting to see a lot of these movies getting released direct to digital and you can pay. We don't get all of them just yet. We've had access to a few here in Australia, but hopefully that changes and we can get these early ones because I want to get a copy of Deadshot and see how bad it is, which I know will be very bad, but I want to see it for myself.
Yeah, no, I probably will pass on that one. I'm just trying to catch up, man. Like, I've still got to watch Knives Out. I've still got to watch The Joker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, get on that. I still haven't watched Knives Out either, so I can't talk, but it looks great. And from the people I know have watched it and even go listen to the Forever Movie Boys do a recap and review of Knives Out. Their episode is it's really good listen. And it got me even more excited to watch the movie. So, that's a my pile of shame as well.
Yeah, curious to see what everyone else out there has been watching or maybe recommends watching. Because, I mean, put it on the pile. Got to be sitting inside the house for a while.
Yeah. Yep, 100%. And when you're done putting them on the pile for us, be sure to head over to 8bitnation.net, shop 8bit.net, 8bit.net, youtube.com/weare8bit. All those centralized hubs and URLs there will get you all your 8-bit related content. We're talking video reviews, we're talking podcasts, we're talking competitions, we're talking giveaways. Obviously, our web store, which I mentioned there, shop8bit.net, gets you direct access to our official web store, t-shirts, hoodies, socks, underwear, pillows, various homewares, you name it, it is all available there. So you can kit your entire house out with 8-bit related merch. It almost feels like you're living real life Animal Crossing. You can kit your house out in all the 8-bit colors. Might cost you a little bit more than it does in Animal Crossing. Actually, no, probably the bells to dollar ratio would be a bit cheaper on the dollar ratio. So, yeah, but shop8bit.net. Be sure to support us there if you can. If you can't support us monetarily via our patreon.com/weare8bit, obviously reviews and subscriptions on the podcast would be more than enough. So be sure to rate, review, subscribe us, as well as all the other podcasts within the hashtag 8bit collective, because those reviews help keep the emotional lights on in our hearts, especially right now when we're isolated. We've got nothing else to do but look at charts and monitor things and get real granular, get real paranoid about how things are going. But yeah, be sure to rate, review, subscribe us, as well as all the other podcasts you're listening to on the reg. Takes no time, takes no money, but it means an awful lot to us all. When you're done checking that out, if you are looking to maybe get into some content creation, audiotechnica.com or audiotechnica.com.au is the perfect place to start there. They've got a content creator bundle now where you can get yourself a microphone, you can get yourself a headset, as well as a microphone stand, so you can kick off your content creating in style with the best in audio-based equipment from the legends at AT. If you're looking for gaming headphones, you're looking for turntables, you're looking for just streetwear headphones for when you do leave the house very briefly. They've got in-ear, they've got over-ear, they've got noise cancelling, obviously Bluetooth functionality as well. So when you are maybe walking around the block doing some exercise, nip into the shops, obviously keep that 2 arms length distance while you're doing all this stuff. But yeah, audiotechnica.com or audiotechnica.com.au to get yourself the best in audio-based equipment for every application, every situation. So yeah, that's the housekeeping. Let's move into some news.
This week's news headlines.
All right. We've got some more this or that, Miss Hart. And I'm going to let you steer the ship on this first one. And what I've done here is made broader news headlines that don't give away the payoff straight away. So the first headline, this. Substantial developer of RPGs will not be holding digital replacement for its cancelled stage show. So that is this. Or that. Devs not getting paid what's owed. We go on this, we go on that.
That's tricky. Now that you've actually obscured the titles, now there is actually a sense of curiosity on both. Oh, you know what? Just because I'm a little bit passionate about it, I'm going to go with that. So the devs not getting paid what they're owed.
Okay, so we're going with that. The devs not getting paid what's owed. And this comes via way of Emma Kent over at Eurogamer. Given it's one of gaming's biggest franchise, the news Borderlands 3 was a major success came as little surprise. Within its first 5 days, it had sold over 5 million copies, which is insane. Like, not news-related article, but that's huge. Like, obviously Borderlands has got a big fan base, but that number's no joke. But anyway, back to the article. Making it 2K's fastest-selling game of all time. Something that probably did come as a surprise to Borderlands 3's developers, however, is that their hefty bonuses designed to make up for lower initial pay were no longer happening. That's according to a report by Kotaku, whose sources say Gearbox employees will no longer receive the royalty bonuses promised throughout development. The news was apparently broken earlier this week by CEO Randy Pitchford, who said developers would now receive much smaller bonus checks than the ones expected, which in some cases were supposed to go into the tens of hundreds of thousands. The reason given was that the game had been more expensive than anticipated, combined with significant company growth and off-base sales projections. The increased expense was likely caused by a technology swap between Unreal Engine 3 and Unreal Engine 4 midway through development. Along with the 2K deal, which meant Gearbox needed to first recoup both Borderlands 3 $95 million budget and the DLC budget for a combined total of nearly $145 million before the studio could receive royalties. As contextualized by Kotaku, Gearbox's bonuses mean more than just a nice little extra on top. The studio is known for having below average salaries for the industry, but this is balanced out with the offer of profit sharing. Gearbox takes 60% of the earnings from royalties, and the remaining 40% is distributed to employees via quarterly bonuses. For developers who worked hard on seeing Borderlands 3 out the door and are willing to accept lower salaries with the promise of bonuses down the line, this news will be devastating. It's also particularly damaging considering Gearbox's previous titles, such as Battleborn, were commercial flops, meaning devs were eager to hang on for the bonuses coming from Borderlands 3. At the meeting, Pitchford told developers they were welcome to quit if they didn't like the royalty system, but said he hoped to get employees more money as an advance on future royalties. Eurogamer understands from those close to the company that the promise of Borderlands 3 bonuses was effectively a golden handcuff situation, which forced developers to stay and finish the game, then claim their royalties. Now that those handcuffs are off, there is nothing stopping a mass exodus from the studio. In response to Kotaku's request for comment, Gearbox issued the following statement. Borderlands 3 represents an incredible value to gamers and an incredible achievement by the team at Gearbox Software. Our studio is talent-led, and we believe strongly in everyone sharing in profitability. The talent at Gearbox enjoys participation in the upside of our games, to our knowledge, the most generous royalty bonus system in AAA. Since this program began, Gearbox talent has earned over $100 million in royalty bonuses above and beyond traditional compensation. During the final stages of Borderlands 3 development last year, a series of shocking news stories surrounding Pitchford emerged, including an accusation he'd taken a $12 million secret bonus and kept, in quotes, underage porn on a USB drive. So my goodness, it is not all sunshine and rainbows over at Gearbox.
No.
What do you reckon about this bloody minefield of a situation?
This is absolutely disgusting. Now, like, a lot of people are saying, why would you sign an agreement on something just so, you know, baseless as like, oh, you will get an under, you know, wage expectation until the game releases, and then you'll receive like a bonus of profitability of the game. Like, why would you agree to something like that? And I mean, the biggest thing is that the gaming industry is a very competitive market. So, you know, you go and study to, you know, join your dream studios. Like, a lot of people dream about working for Gearbox. Like, you know, they grow up with it and then they want to work and support it. But the job market out there is extremely competitive. So sometimes you either take what you can get and then like hope for the best, or just honestly believe that, you know, I don't know if they explained whether it was a contract agreement or whatnot that they signed, but if someone says you're going to get a bonus at the end, you're going to get it. Now, contrasting like comments has been that they are getting a bonus. It's just not as much as that they expected, or, you know, either way, like a lot of staff members have already had plans. Like, they already kind of like had ideas set up, and I guess especially now what the world's in, a lot of people are probably really dependent on that money. So yeah. It's honestly like scummy behavior. You can't flaunt your successes and then kick your creators and the people working long ass hours and crunching and just kick them in the dirt saying, sorry, we still have nothing for you.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. And I think one of the most sort of shocking, or maybe not shocking, but one of the worst things to read in this article, outside obviously of him doing the dodgy, we're talking Randy Pitchford, with the alleged bonus that he took for himself and the underage sort of kiddie porn that he may or may not have, is that part where he's sort of saying, if you're not happy, you can quit. Like, yeah. I think that is just so disgusting, because it is putting the fear of God into these staff. Because, yeah, as you said, the current climate, like, a lot of these developers, they won't be screaming for more staff. They're trying to survive and sort of keep everybody that they're already employing under contract and under employment, and being able to pay the bills and sort of stay out of trouble with this COVID-19 situation. So, yeah, now more than ever, I think the higher-ups at Gearbox are just like, love it or leave it, really. And knowing that they've sort of still got this carrot that they're dangling, where they're saying, oh, we're going to give you more on the next quarterly bonus, you know, like just stay another 90 days. We'll give you more, keep working, keep doing what you're doing for us, and we'll give you a little bit more of a sniff in, you know, in Q2 or Q3 or whatever it might be. So it's bad business. And yeah, it's not the first time we've heard Gearbox doing having some suspect or some less than ideal business practices. So hopefully they can get their back end sorted out, and where they need to sort of change some things at the top, which would then trickle down. But I'm with you, like, you know, I work in my 9 to 5, like I work in sales, and you want to get paid on what you sell. And these developers, like when they're getting promised to get paid on what they make, which would then translate into those sales to get that commission. Yeah, the fact that they've been given this very wishy-washy broad, we'll give you a nice little bonus come the end of the quarter, and then they give you a fraction of it. Like, it can really derail your home and your personal life, because as you said, like they could be house repayments, car repayments, trips, whatever it might be. Obviously, no one's traveling now, but like they could have had some serious plans put in place, knowing what the bonuses were in previous games they were working on, and now it's just all turned to hell because they're trying to say, oh, the game cost us more. Like, it's like, well, that's not the developer's fault. You know, they're not the ones signing off on those terms to jump from Unreal 3 to 4 or whatever the development process, other expenses increases were. Like, that's not on them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a bad taste, like mostly with the gloating about your success in sales, as well as just constantly pushing out more like more content, like more expansions that they keep on releasing maybe every few months to obviously either entice new players. I'm not too sure if that content requires any additional money or, you know, people to pay to play kind of thing. But I mean, so there's still people working out there. There's still people like, you know, keeping Borderlands 3 relevant in the mainstream, because I guess that's what they want. The more it's in the mainstream, the more likely they can get more new players. So, but it's just disgusting. Don't gloat about something and while you know you're doing the dirty in the, you know, in the workplace. So.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, those are sort of paid DLCs as well. So it's not that they're getting this done for free off the back of the devs. Like, there's more money coming in, so they need to distribute this to these staff members that were promised these these bonuses based off the success of the game. Like, they're saying now that the game's in a profitable state, so they've paid off that $145 million worth of development and budget costs. So yeah, pony that up to the people that made the game. Like, if we see that some of these Gearbox higher-ups are getting nice fat bonuses off the back of this thing, which no doubt we probably will, like, yeah, I could see a bit of an exodus. Could see a lot of these guys go, you know what, we're done. We're out of here. And, you know, they disperse from Gearbox and go off on their own paths. But, yeah, it's just that stereotypical little man getting squeezed by the big corporate giant and having their voice taken away. So no doubt we'll probably get some anonymous quotes and stories start to trickle out probably on the back of this. Maybe Jason Schreier will start to talk to, Gearbox employee X and Y and get some of the more dirt to what's going on. So, keep your eyes peeled to Kotaku or Schreier's Twitter handle. That's for damn sure. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they get paid what they're owed. Because that's life. That's how it should be. Get paid for the work you do.
Yeah.
All right, so the next this or that. This, developer bans over 50,000 cheaters. Or that, a developer is planning to donate 5% of its online revenue towards COVID-19.
Well, I feel like I picked the last one, so why don't you get the opportunity for once?
All right, I am going to go with that. I'll quickly just say what I mentioned with this. That's actually, Activision has banned over 50,000 people from Call of Duty Warzone for cheating. So that's that in a very compressed nutshell. But they've got zero tolerance for cheaters, apparently, because they're perma-banned. That's not like a time-based ban. You're out, suckers. All right.
It should be.
So here's that. Rockstar Games has announced that it will donate 5% of its online revenue to COVID-19 relief efforts. The news was revealed in a post from the Rockstar Games Twitter account, where the company explained that from April 1st, 5% of in-game purchases in GTA Online and Red Dead Online will go towards COVID-19 relief. The donation period will last until the end of May. This means that a percentage of the price in Rockstar's in-game microtransactions, like gold bars in Red Dead Online and shark cards in GTA Online, will go towards helping aid those who have been affected by COVID-19. Quote, these funds will be used to help local communities and businesses struggling with the impacts of COVID-19, both directly and by supporting some of the amazing organizations who are on the ground, end quote, the statement reads. The decision was made after the team had noticed that communities around Rockstar offices in North America, the UK, India, and beyond were facing hardship due to the pandemic, with small businesses closing doors and those who need government support unable to access it. The road ahead will be challenging and we want to help wherever we can, the statement reads. It's a charitable move from Rockstar that follows in the footsteps of other companies in the games industry who are doing their bit to help fight the coronavirus. Last week, we saw Nintendo donate nearly 10,000 respirator masks to frontline staff in Washington. CD Projekt Red is also helping with donating nearly $1 million to combat the spread of COVID-19 in Poland. But yeah, it's good to see. Like, obviously, Rockstar are just about the biggest development house in the world. And 5%, like, it might sound like a bit of a paltry number. Like, 5% is like, that's not much. But when you know the amount of people that play GTA Online especially, like, that is a substantial fee that they're going to be putting towards COVID-19. So it's nice to see. It's really good to see, especially on the back of all the other horror stories regarding crunch and the tyranny that seems to operate in amongst Rockstar. So
yeah, no, Rockstar has received a bit of a backlash in the God, how many years? There's always some news story about Rockstar, unfortunately. But let's just hope that, this good cause comes off, that they are paying their staff as well and there's no crunch time. So, but yeah, they should definitely receive a good portion because people are dropping the dollary dues on especially the shark cards for GTA. So hopefully a good amount of revenue comes from that.
I never play GTA Online, full disclosure. So can you actually tell me what a shark card is? I feel like I'm 60 years old right now going, what's a shark card? So what is it?
Well, Dad, so shark card is essentially like, think about like, how you can buy like a gift card or like a prepaid credit card. That's actually how they look in like GameStop and like all your game stores when you want to buy one physically. And all it is essentially just loading up that amount of money that you're paying for into GTA. So the card would be worth between like, it could be a ridiculous amount, but like, like a couple of million to like 5 million, 100 million, and you're paying probably like what, $10, $25.
Yeah.
And then you load it up in game. So then in game you are like a multi-millionaire, and then you can buy those ridiculous cars and condos and everything else. So usually just the more cards you buy, the flashier you look. So, and then the same with the gold bars. It's just, buying power.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm curious to see come the back end of May when this sort of plan that they're putting in place as far as the donations. I'd love to see the final figure. So hopefully they release of course they would, right? Like, because they want that positive press that they're donating X amount of money.
Yes.
So it'll be splashed all over their website and social media. So yeah, we'll see what happens at the end of May / start of June, as far as that final figure. Because it would be astronomical, to say the least. So, let's sort of shift into the main course, or the last bit of news for this week on the Hunger Gamers, and some huge news this past week. The Last of Us 2 has been delayed indefinitely. My goodness. So this article comes by way of Jonathan Dornbush at IGN. The game is no longer set to be released on PlayStation 4 on May 29. Sony and developer Naughty Dog announced earlier this week. A tweet from Sony confirmed, update. SIE has made the difficult decision to delay the launch of The Last of Us Part 2 and Marvel's Iron Man VR until further notice. Logistically, the global crisis is preventing us from providing the launch experience our players deserve. The company followed the statement with, currently there are no other delays to report, but we'll keep you updated. Naughty Dog has also released a statement on Twitter about the delay, which I'm about to read in full right now. As you've likely just seen, the release of The Last of Us Part 2 has been delayed. We're sure this news is just as disappointing to you as it is to us. We wanted to reach out to all of you in our community to give you a little more information. The good news is we're nearly done with development of The Last of Us Part 2. We're in the midst of fixing our final bugs. However, even with us finishing the game, we were faced with the reality that due to logistics beyond our control, we couldn't launch The Last of Us Part 2 to our satisfaction. We want to make sure everyone gets to play The Last of Us Part 2 around the same time, ensuring that we're doing everything possible to preserve the best experience for everyone. This meant delaying the game until such a time where we can solve these logistic issues. We were bummed about this decision, but ultimately understood what's best and fair to all our players. We're hoping this won't be a long delay, and we'll update you as soon as we have new information to share. We wish you all, your families, and your friends the best of health. Thank you for being amazing fans and your continued support. Stay safe. So, what do you think about this? Do you think it's tied specifically to, we're going to have some logistical nightmares trying to get these things shipped in time, maybe the discs manufactured, because this game might be getting developed in via Naughty Dog in the United States, but they do obviously outsource certain things across the globe to get it finished. What's your thoughts here? Where do you land?
I hate to be the negative Nelly that I am, but there's two things that kind of like throw me off on this. Is the first one is them saying like, oh, we're almost done with all the bugs and fixes, and I look at the like date and I'm like, okay, almost done, start of May, so
6 weeks away, really.
Something about that doesn't sound right, but I don't know too much about game development. But unfortunately, there was a recent article or post about Naughty Dog's practices of also crunch and, treatment of staff. So there's that again in the news. My concerns are now actually for the staff, because it's being pushed along. What happens to them? Are they just going to still be pushed to the brink to just keep on polishing this game? Who knows? The other part of this is that I don't believe you that your concern is for, customers. To me, it sounds like, ooh, if people can't buy our game physically, then that's a bad sales, so it's not about the customer's experience, because there's a good chunk of people that are like, well, release it digitally, we're still at home, but as the Australian market is very familiar, some people still don't have the internet to crunch down a game that size with the internet that's available to them. So, but to me, it sounds less about we're worried about your experience too. We're worried about how it will impact our sales.
Yeah, I'll sort of try and jump on both sides of the fence on that, and I agree. I think there's a lot of truth where they are fearful of the bottom line. And knowing that this game releasing at the back end of May, where retail is closing down all over the world right now, and then some of these various pockets around the globe where their network infrastructure sucks. So trying to download this game or buying it digitally is just impossible. So obviously they want this thing to sell like gangbusters and cover all the hard work and have the success that The Last of Us 1 achieved. So I think that's certainly number one. Sony have said, you know what, we don't want to double down here because we're probably leaving money on the table doing it this way. But I think also maybe looking at it with the current climate, maybe they're hesitant to release a game about a pandemic, during in this current climate with such a big prestigious title and The Last of Us is one of the biggest franchises in the world, so maybe getting a lot of unnecessary attention. Maybe they don't want the fear-mongering that would come with it, and maybe the backlash that the media would give them releasing a game like this when the world is almost becoming The Last of Us maybe?
That's a good angle. I actually didn't think about that, but a part of me thinks well, The Division didn't hold back on any of their stuff, and there's nothing more honest than the sites that you're actually seeing from New York, actual real life.
It is The Division. It's insane.
It is The Division. The makeshift tents and the people in hazmat suits. It's really scary actually how similar some of the photos that were coming out of there right now are similar to the game. So I could see it, but I do honestly believe it is just the bottom line of sales. And you know what, going back to kind of what I've been talking about, I guess even though staff should just be paid already based on the work that they've done, I guess the success of sales in this game reflects on how a company, pays their staff in the end. So
yeah.
I do want them to have a successful sales so that they pay their staff. So I'm going to leave on that positive. So
yeah. But it's crazy because this is probably, this and Cyberpunk are the two biggest. And I guess Final Fantasy VII, because it has got a amount of prestige and nostalgia and fandom attached to it. They're probably the three biggest releases for 2020. You'd say, and to see The Last of Us potentially not even maybe fall in the 2020 release cycle now. I don't know. Like, they haven't really said it's going to be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months when this thing's going to drop. Obviously, Cyberpunk's already been shifted from sort of a Q2 release to sort of Q3. So I wonder if we're going to see more of that. But yeah, there's a lot of fans that are going to be a little bit sad. That's for sure, because everyone's like, yeah, Last of Us, we're getting that in less than 2 months' time now. And now it's, will we get it in 2020? Who knows?
Yeah, actually, nothing stops a person from buying it online and getting it sent to them physically. And games like Final Fantasy and Resident Evil, they still launch successfully.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's true.
I'm curious.
And Resident Evil's got similar subject matter. Like, yeah, it's a zombie apocalypse. Well, not the world yet, but at least Raccoon City is in shambles and amidst a pandemic. So, yeah, very interesting.
I can tell you now the empty streets of America is a bit Raccoon City because no one's out in the streets to disturb the raccoons, so they've been running wild.
Exactly. So that might segue us nicely into this anyway.
Tweet of the week.
And this tweet, a little bit lighter, especially after the heaviness of the previous news articles we were reading, comes by way of @CuteGhosts. And Julie is his or her name. And the tweet is just a nice graphic relating to Animal Crossing New Horizons, and it's a balloon guide. So for anyone that has played Animal Crossing or has not, what the balloons are in essence, they float through your island or maybe your friend's island that you're visiting, and there's a little present attached to it at the bottom. And what they've since confirmed is, depending on the color of the balloon, it will determine what is in the gift. So if the balloon is red, going to be a crafting recipe. If the balloon is yellow, it's going to be bells or the currency in the game. If the balloon is green, you've got furniture. And if the balloon is blue, it is crafting materials. So you can sort of determine straight away if you want to hunt that balloon down, because sometimes when they are sort of floating over a body of water, if you shoot it with your slingshot, you lose the present and you have to wait or follow it around to get to the right position to shoot it. But yeah, Cute Ghosts giving us some heads up on the balloon guide for Animal Crossing. What do you reckon? Did you know this stuff? Because you're the savant here.
I honestly did not know this, and this is going to absolutely change me because I am a balloon chaser. I'm very fond of it, although the Easter celebration right now is pissing me off because they're happening every 5 seconds.
God, don't get me started. Anytime I see an Easter egg coloured balloon, I'm just like, I don't even care. I'm ignoring this. I don't want another Easter related recipe that I'm never going to craft.
Yeah, actually, I've almost crafted it all. But either way, no, this information is good. I actually really appreciate the people on Twitter with their little guides and information. I've actually been following a lot of people based on the turnip stock market because I still can't figure that out. So
I still don't have any turnips. I've got to get some tomorrow.
How are you missing the turnip lady?
Because it's Sunday mornings, and usually that's like my sleep-in day. So yeah, gonna be proactive and get on there tomorrow to get some turnips so I can start my turnip empire.
God, you know what? I just realised sometimes some of our listeners are not Animal Crossing fans or players or whatever, and they're probably like, this game just sounds like absolute craziness. I wonder.
But it's great. It's a good kind of crazy, and you need it in your life. It's a nice nice buffer from reality, this game, that's for sure. But yeah, the balloon guide, by way of @CuteGhosts. Red for recipes, yellow for bells, green for furniture, and blue for crafting materials. But is there anything you want to say? I think we're pretty much just about done and dusty for episode 189. Anything else you want to say before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I just want to express that maybe some people might be interested in it, but that game, Valorant, the kind of 4-on-4 shooter that was kind of getting mixed opinions. I think there's a closed beta going on right now. A lot of people that are streaming are playing it, so check it out. I think it might be closed, so I'm not too sure if you can get access to it, but it should be interesting to see how it turns out.
That's the one that almost merges Overwatch with CSGO.
Yeah. So I've been very curious about it to see how it's received. So if anyone else saw it on their radar previously, there's a lot of streamers playing it right now. So yeah.
I'm curious to see it. Like, obviously, Riot's got a big enough name that people will jump on and give it a go. But from the video I've seen, it just does not interest me at all. Like, it looks cheap.
I guess cheap is the best way to describe it. For me, it's like it not even fan made. It's like it's got this amount of polish to it, but then there's also this level of like emptiness and just like non-polished, like it's just very bland. So I don't know, that's why I want to check this out. I want to see if like maybe we just kept on getting a lot of half-assed information, and then that the full game was actually, then everything kind of unfolds and it's like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So.
Yeah, fair call. See how it goes. I'm not gonna even probably give it a go. I'll just see what the feedback is, and we can report back through here. But maybe you'll give it a go. Maybe you get on this beta and see. But not for me. I'm buying turnips and killing zombies.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been episode 189 of the Hungry Games podcast. Thanks each and every one of you for listening each and every week. It truly means a lot. Next week, we're going to be joined by a very special guest, Roger from the Button Mash podcast. So we're going to have a three-way here on the pod next week. So excited to have him on board here to talk video gaming news, reviews, and everything else in between. But yeah, this has been episode 189 of the Hungry Games podcast. Till next week, Ape Nation. Much love.
And stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.